they say God wrote this shit, which we know that that's not true. You understand what I'm saying? Because based on the Bible, let's deal with the facts. That God is only attributed to what? Writing the Ten Commandments. He stuck his finger through the sky, right? And he scribbled some shit on some stone tablets, and it was the Ten Commandments. Okay, that's the only thing that have been attributed to God as far as being the author of any. You diligently compared, and revised the Bible. Okay? So what you're saying is you could do better than God. That's what you're saying. Okay? I don't give a fuck. And if God wrote the motherfucker, did you get God permission when you compared it and revised it? And what the fuck is you comparing? If you got the original, what the fuck is you comparing? You understand what I'm saying? You ain't shit to compare nothing to. Because if you understand, if you got the original, that's all you need. That's all that we say that God inspired. Okay? So you compared it and revised it to goddamn what? See, that's the question. You understand? They don't say. They don't say because we understand that there is thousands of versions of the Bible. Now they say that's a goddamn lie. You understand? They didn't damn near translated it in over 3,000 languages, is what I'm understanding. And then you got to understand all the goddamn denominations, which I'm going to get into that later. And they got different amounts of books in the goddamn Bible. Okay? So for motherfuckers saying it been changed. And so the thing is, we got to know how many was in the original one. Okay? We're going to get to that. If there was an original one. Which there was no original one. But I'm giving you a heads up and warning your ass. Be ready when I drop this shit on your ass. So you can do better than God. See? So I'm thinking to myself, I say, well, goddamn. And I touch on it. If God wanted everybody to have it, why didn't God make the goddamn versions? And if God scribed the book or inspired the book to be scribed in a particular language, then maybe that's who the fuck he wanted it for. Okay? So if God didn't make the goddamn translation, who the fuck is you to go and make some goddamn translation and give it to a motherfucker if it had not been authorized by God to make the goddamn translation and give it to him? So, I need to know that motherfuckers get verification from God to make these translations. You see? To make these versions. And if you didn't get that, and if you did, I need you to verify. I need God's number. I need you to call, if you talking to God, I need you to call me up on the motherfucking three-way while you talking to God so I can hear him verify that he said it was all right for you to make the translation. Okay? And so that's very, very critical. And so when you say you diligently compared and revised, that means there was errors. There was errors. You see what I'm saying? There was motherfucking errors. And so you felt that you needed to take this out and take these words out, take these expressions out, and add your own words and your own expression because you feel that these are better words, these are better expressions, and for whoever you making the translation for, you understand, this is the message that you really want to convey. Even though we have not seen no original. Because that's very critical when we talking about, because I'm a researcher. You see what I'm saying? I know how to do motherfucking research. And the key is, if you don't got the original, that's very, very, very critical. You don't got the original. Then, when they say they diligently, I keep thinking of digital, because it is digital. You did diligently and digitally compare and revise the motherfucking book. But the question is, if you do not have the original of any of the books, which you do not have, then when you compared and revised whatever works you was using, you very well could have been comparing and revising books that were totally in error. Because the only thing that you can make the correction with is the original. So how do you know that the books you use, you diligently compared and revised, you understand that those works that you use wasn't already in error? That's very key. That's why you always need the original, which you do not have. You understand what I'm saying? So we already know when you compared and revised, you didn't compare and revise shit. Bitch, you went from jump, putting down what the fuck you wanted to put down. That's what you did. And so when you say you compared and revised, what you're saying is you need an editor. That God need an editor. You see what I'm saying? That, God was fucking up. He didn't express himself like he needed to express himself. And that you know better how to express what God was trying to say to the people, because you know better than God. So you God's editor, okay? And so you editing God's work. The all-omniscient, all-powerful, all-knowing God, you know better how to express what he trying to say, because you better than God. You know better than God. You see what I'm saying? And we got to understand that you got thousands of motherfuckers. Hear me out. Hear me out. That know better than God. Okay? And I see these silly niggas out here on the motherfucking talking about God's word. God's word. God's motherfucking word. And they done told you, they done compared it and revised it. And if they did compare it and revised it, they used already versions that were in error. Because again, if you do not have the original, then you can be taking some shit that's already in error, and you thinking you comparing and revising it is going more and more into error. Okay? And that's very key. And since we know that you ain't got no originals, then really, you don't have no publishing dates or nothing. Everything that they say, well, the book was written, bitch, you don't know when it was written. And we need to be clear about this. That God was only attributed to writing the Ten Commandments. And Moses came down off the mountain, and we know this is mythological shit, bullshit, and he took that and threw it and broke it. So you ain't got no original nothing. Okay, you don't have, and the oldest manuscripts that they got of this shit is in Greek. And I'm thinking to myself, that's why when you go on the Patreon, I'm going to show you. That's why so much of them deities and so many of them patriarchs and so many of them damn, them holy men are so close to certain Greek heroes and shit. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to give you too much. You understand? To let you know that the book is Greek. All the fuck they did was transfer a lot of the Greek deities, a lot of the Greek heroes, and and give them Hebrew names and flip the story a little bit. But when you compare them side by side, you will see very well that many of the heroes, such as, I'll give you one, Samson. Okay, Samson. And anybody know that Samson ain't nothing but Hercules. Okay, that's all that he is. And I can break it down and show you exactly all the similarities that cannot be just brushed off as coincidence. Because you got so many more in there that are so fucking similar in so many ways that it cannot be brushed off as coincidence. And that's the reason why many of them goddamn books originate in Greek, because the motherfuckers is Greeks. Now this is the question. This is a very serious question. If God only wrote the Ten Commandments, hear me out, where did you get the rest of the Bible? Okay, where did you get it from? God only wrote the Ten Commandments. Then they say the first 5 books of the Bible was written by Moses. Then you go into the 5th book. If I'm not mistaken, I don't know if that's Leviticus. I don't know if that's Leviticus in the 5th book or not. But anyway, it speaks of Moses being buried in a sepulcher unknown. And I say, well, goddamn, did Moses write that? Did he write that? Wrote of his own death and burial? And why the fuck is he writing in 3rd person? And Moses argued with Pharaoh. And Moses, bitch, what the fuck is you talking about? He ain't even speaking in 1st person. And then you go into the book of Joshua, and it's supposed to be a book written by Joshua, hear me out, And he wrote of his own death and burial. They say, well, Joshua finished Moses' book. Well, goddamn, it should be a goddamn, some reference to that. The first 5 books of Moses finished by Joshua. And then who wrote the motherfucking information in there for Joshua? Who came after Joshua? And ain't none of them motherfuckers was even known to have any literacy nowhere, no how. You know what I'm saying? We got to deal with that today, family. If the book was written by, if it was written by Moses, how could he write of his own death and burial? If the book of Joshua was written by Joshua, why the fuck is he writing of his own death and burial in a motherfucking sepulcher unknown to man? I say, well, goddamn, what the fuck did he come up out the grave and finish the book? And why is he writing in third person like some crazy ass psychopath? And why is he not writing in first? So we already showing you that all of them motherfuckers is fictional. You understand what I'm saying? So I feel they feel like, they can say whatever the fuck they want. Nah, being a researcher, I already know. If the author of a book has been proven not to be the author, then how do you continue to legitimize the book? It's a fraud. Once you have identified that the author of the book is not the author of the book, that Moses did not write the book, then that legitimize everything in the fucking book. It's not first-hand information. And what we looking for is first-hand information. You understand what I'm saying? We looking for primary sources. And primary is written by the individual who supposedly wrote the book. And we done already blown the door off of that to prove that he's not the author of the book. Joshua not the author of the book. Matthew ain't, goddamn, you got Matthews and Luke's and goddamn Johns and shit. And these motherfuckers supposed to be goddamn Hebrews and shit. And so you didn't jump from Abraham to John. You didn't jump from goddamn Enoch to Luke. And all of this shit. What happened there? It's like, you motherfuckers didn't, you didn't convert it over into some crazy shit. You know what I'm saying? So right there you already see that once you've proven that these are not legitimate authors, because there is no legitimate author. But once you blow the dough off the book as being a fraud and that the author is a pseudo name, then you throw that shit on in the garbage. You understand? Because you have no proof to legitimize the information. Shit, if the man don't exist, how you gonna legitimize a man that don't exist going up on a fucking mountain to get off? That legitimize everything in the fucking book. The fuck out of here, man. Nah. Why do so many various denominations have different numbers of books in the Bible? That's key to going back to the original one. Because then, see, you don't got no original one. Ethiopian Orthodox Church. You know how many books they got in the Old Testament? They got 46 books. You know how many books they got in the New Testament? They got 35 books. With a total of 81 books in the Ethiopian Orthodox Bible. That's 15 more than the Protestant. Your Queen James Bible. You niggas swear by. Y'all swear by the King James. Got 15 more than the King James, the Protestant. It got 8 more than the Catholic. So the Catholics got the same amount, 46 in the Old, but they got 27 in the New Testament. Okay? They got 27 in the New Testament, where the Ethiopian Orthodox Church got 35. Okay? Got 35. Got a hell of a discrepancy right there. Got a hell of a discrepancy. You got 8 books. You understand? That's in the Ethiopian, that ain't in the Catholics. And then motherfuckers want to say, well, the Ethiopian, the original, they got all, they got more, but that's some bullshit. All that shit is garbage. Okay? And we're going to get off on Solomon and Makeda too. You got to go to Patreon for that. But I got to deal because Solomon raped Makeda. Motherfuckers don't want to deal with that bullshit. You understand what I'm saying? Them niggas always honoring that shit. But Solomon raped the Queen of Sheba. Fake motherfuckers, y'all don't even want to deal with that. So y'all want to, just because a nigga put Ethiopia on it, motherfuckers want to, oh, that's the word. Bitch, that's some garbage. All right, let me keep it moving. The Protestant church, okay, which is the, the King James, the English, is basically the Protestant. Is the head church of the Protestant, the Church of England. They got 39, wow, they got 39 books in the Old Testament. They got 39 books in the Old Testament. The Ethiopians got 46. Catholics got 46. Now, the Protestant, the Queen James, got 27 books in the New Testament. The Ethiopians got 35. Okay, so you got 8 missing there. You understand what I'm saying? And the Catholics got 2. So, the Protestant Bible got 66 books. The Ethiopian Orthodox got 81. That's a lot of goddamn discrepancies right there. Then the Catholics got a lot of goddamn discrepancy. So what it boils down to this. Number one. The book was never compiled to be one book. Motherfuckers took a bunch of garbage. You understand? That was just basically separate books. And intentionally written to be separate books. And then they took it. You understand? Because you got so many books out there and you got many numbers of people that's attached to certain books. So you took the ones, and it was more than this. You understand what I'm saying? This is like a fucking age of pseudo God-inspired fucking works. You understand what I'm saying? That they didn't put out there. You understand? So you gonna take from an ocean and sea of garbage. You take 81. This motherfucker takes 73 books. He didn't give him 73 books. He didn't give him 66 books. Okay, now I don't know nothing about no Matthew, no Luke, no motherfucking John, or none of that. Okay, I don't know nothing because Jesus wasn't according to the book. We know that he does not exist, but Jesus was not teaching out of no Gospel of Matthew, no Gospel of John, no Gospel of Luke, or no Gospel of John. Okay, we know that them books did not exist at his time. Okay? Even though we know that he's fictional, so that delegitimized them guys. I don't want to hear nothing about God inspired nothing. I don't want to hear none of that, God. So once we understand that even within the book, the men that, that supposedly are ascribed, none of these books even exist. Okay? None of these books even fucking exist. So let's deal with that. So when we ask how many books, really belong in it, the actual number is none. None. These motherfuckers compiled all of them books. No, God compiled them. They were not compiled, like Moses and, did God tell David and Solomon to take the books of Moses and squash them together and told every preceding prophet that supposedly wrote a God inspired to slap it to the next, and put them together with the other preceding books that came before him? Is there anywhere in there where God says to do that? And you don't find that. So now we're getting down to the facts of the matter, that these are nothing but a bunch of books that were floating around, and there are hundreds, if not thousands or more, of this old fake literature, God-inspired literature. God said this, God said that. Some was more wild out than others, but for the reasons they left the other books out, the shit that I'm reading, with all these prophets laying with their own wives, their own sisters, their own daughters, you understand, their sons' wives, adultery, incest. These are the patriarchs. You should have left that shit out too. This is a bunch of garbage. So right there, I didn't, boom. Just let's deal with the fact that ain't no Bible standard. These motherfuckers got all different kind of books in each one. So whatever denomination. So which one is God's denomination? That's very important. And motherfucking Catholics gonna say, well, goddamn it, Jesus said Peter, and Peter was the first pope. Okay? Then the motherfuckers that say Solomon raped Makeda and that the bloodline went through Menelik, which became the first king of Ethiopia. Hebrew king. And so I dealt with that. Was the books of the Bible even meant to be compiled? You don't have no verification for that. You did that on your own. That's a man, created book. That's all that I'm getting down to. And there's no stamp because you don't have no original. And because you don't, it could be any fucking thing a motherfucker aspire it to be. Okay, there's no standard because when you ain't got no original and you didn't mass produce the original to keep the motherfucking record standard, now 1,000 years later, you talking about you compared and revised. Compared and revised what? A bunch of garbage? You compared and revised a bunch of already garbage and made some more garbage. Okay? Now, that's a very good question. It's just like I write a book today. It's just like, well, say for instance, you got Sheikh Diop, you got Dr. Bean, and you got Ashraf Quace, you got John Henry Clark, you got Ivan Van Sant, and motherfuckers take all their works and put them together. You understand, when they make it into one book and take the name, and put another name on the book, knowing it's gonna be where there's differences in thought of these scholars. And you know there's going to be contradictions, this, that, and the third. Now, if none of these men were alive and verified and gave you permission to make this one book, who can justify even, if the books of the Bible were independently written, who could justify compiling them? If you did not get permission from the original authors to compile it, who can justify compiling? And that's why you got so many contradictions in that shit. What it was, you had so many thousands of people following this book. You had so many, and you knew that if you compiled the major ones, that you would have the minds of the majority of the peoples out there. So that's basically, okay, it's about 100,000 of these motherfuckers that, like the book of Genesis, and you know what I'm saying, and this, that, and the, you got hundreds of thousands of motherfuckers that like Job. You got, you know what I'm saying? So you took the major ones you knew, and they had to be politically on your wavelength so that you could justify your control in doing the things that you do. Like sleeping with another man's wife as a king. I could do that. Goddamn it, Solomon did it. David did it. All these other motherfuckers did it. So I could do it. So you took all the type of motherfuckers that could justify your wicked behavior. This is what they did. This is exactly what they did. How can you compare, and I did that one already. How can you compare and revise the Bible without the original manuscript? And when I deal with institution, which I always bring up, when you got institution, you're dealing with masses of learned individuals. So you would have the original one, and it would be mass produced in institution. So you're not dependent on no one book. Okay, you got the one book, but it has been mass produced. Okay, so you know what I'm saying? Can't nobody just run up under their bed and pull out, I got the only book. Bitch, we don't want to hear all that only book shit. Because in institution, you ain't gonna never have no one book. If they had a book report on Malcolm X autobiography, I used to work at the library when I was young. You could go to the shelf of the library and they'll have 20, 25 autobiographies of Malcolm, because that's one of the most widely checked out books of all time. So the book, if it's being checked out just repetitiously, all the time, they're gonna have multiple copies up there. And when you take them multiple copies, you can lay them motherfuckers out and see that it's the same script. So not only do you got to have the original book, it has to be mass produced at that time and mass produced down through the ages since the original one, to keep the shit in print, to keep it, available to the public. That's institution. And so you did not have no institution. Number one, back for no Hebrew, no Greek, or nothing. They don't have no original books, no tombs or shit from their original prophets and patriarchs, none of that. And that proves that they did not have institutions. Okay? And I did that. Can the revisers of the Bible be revising from already corrupt texts? That's key if you do not have the original. If you do, an institution would have been that the priests of Levi, if they had any alphabet, they had manuscripts and the ability, they would have passed that shit down through and kept the words correct. But since they did not do that, and the oldest Bibles that you have is a millennium, 1,000 years after the supposed life of the man who wrote it, you got 1,000 years of a void. How the fuck do you come out of 1,000 years of a void with a correct text? You don't got shit. You made that shit up. Every letter, every fucking word. Not none of that shit come out of no ancient times. That shit come from Gutenberg in that printing press. Put that shit together and goddamn it, you understand what I'm saying? They mass produced it in the last 200 years. Before Gutenberg and the printing press, there was no availability for anybody, even if it existed at that time, for anybody on the planet to have what we have today known as the Bible. The Bible is a modern construct, okay? Who can copyright God's work? Who got the power to do that? You know, and I didn't even bring the shit up. I got motherfucking Bibles out there. The different, you got, what's these motherfuckers now? You got Gideon. You got the Gideon Bible. You understand? You got the Gideons. You go to, they in every goddamn hotel. Around, they got a goddamn contract. You can go open up the drawer in the hotel, and it'll be a Bible right on in there, Gideon. So they goddamn, that right there let you know. You understand what I'm saying? They got a goddamn contract with the poisonous ass hotel industry. You understand? Then you got these other motherfuckers. What the fuck is these motherfuckers? Thomas Nelson. You got all these different, where they got copyrights. They got even got homosexual Bible. They got copyrights on it. They got women's Bible. They got copyrights on it. They got all type of Bible. For this nigga, that nigga, this crazy motherfucker, that crazy motherfucker. And they got, how do you copyright God's word? I don't understand, no. It's some bullshit. Because on a scholastic level, plagiarism, nigga, that's like academic suicide. Your ass get busted motherfucking plagiarizing somebody's shit. Nigga, you could be a PhD. Motherfucker, you lose your degree, nigga. You lose your degree. Nigga, you lose every fucking thing you work for, nigga. And you might not get a motherfucking job nowhere else. And you done went to school, all it don't matter who you is. You get busted. If you using somebody's shit, nigga, you got to get, you got to quote, boom, 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 this, that, and the third. You got to reference. You understand where you got it from? And many times you got to get permission. You got to get permission to do that. You can't just up and take somebody and by referencing, you giving credit. You got to give people credit. Okay? But to just take somebody's shit, if that God word, that Matthew, this, that, and the third, you're not supposed to take nobody else and rewrite it. If you take another motherfucker, if you take somebody's shit and cheat, that's just like you take a nigga paper and then you change the name on it and you change a few things of it, but the majority of the motherfuckers stay the same. That's plagiarism. So how the fuck do you plagiarize other people's work if they real people? You understand? How do they justify that? To steal somebody's shit and still call it the same fucking book. You done put a sway on it. Oh, this is this kind of book. This is the new King James. And then the old one is a corrupt goddamn book. You understand what I'm saying? And so number one, you're a copyright. And so if that was real and if people really believe that those peoples was real, that's plagiarism. It's a wrap. Don't want to hear no more about it. Take your bitch ass on. I don't want to talk about it no more. That's plagiarism. You done took or changed a few words so it sounds like it's your book, but the whole of the book is still belonging to the previous motherfucker that wrote it, and then you copyrighted the motherfucker on top of it. I don't understand you motherfucker. And then, you look at it, the publishing, you got publishing rights, that means you getting paid. That shit not going to God. Look at who got the publishing right in the copy. That's who getting paid. God not getting paid. You understand what I'm saying? You got publishing rights and copyright. That means you're securing revenue for the goddamn book. That's what it means. Now, when you go down there, you can go down there and look it up. I think it's at the Library of Congress. I think all books, that's where the copyright go. Even the publishing is on record there. Now, if you go down there and you look up, I guess you look up whatever particular Bible you want, you will see who got the copyright. You will see who got the publishing right on that. Now, in England, the Crown got the copyright on the King James Version. Now, on the outside, I don't think that they got the power to, secure the copyright because the world do what the fuck they want to. But in England, the Crown has the copyright on the Queen James Version. See? So, again, you see what I'm saying? So they got revenue. They getting revenue. That revenue going to the Crown. It ain't going to God. And, it's going to Thomas Nelson. It's not going to God. He's the motherfucking copy. He owns the copyright and the publish. Okay? So my question is, how do you copyright God's word or God's holy prophets? How do you copyright, change some shit, plagiarize some shit, change the words, then re-copyright the motherfucker, then put publishing rights on it, and get financial gain from God's words and his holy men, and God let the shit happen? Boy, y'all is sad. Y'all is some sad Negro. Those are very critical questions. And that's why when you go in the book and I show you the flagrant files in that book, you can understand why. Okay? When they said that book was holy, they didn't spell that motherfucker H-O-L-Y. They spelled that bitch W-H-O-L-E-Y. You understand? Holy. L-L-Y. W-H-O-L-E-L-Y. Holy. That's what kind of goddamn holy Bible that bitch is. Because it's full of holes. And they'll never be sealed up because goddamn you compiled a bunch of other people's shit and they independently wrote that garbage any goddamn way, and then you added all that garbage together to make it even bigger garbage.